Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Political Head Drama, starring Jared Anderson and Holly, if she arrives. How are you guys doing out there in Tooele?
Doing good. It's drier than popcorn fart out here right now, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super dry.
I can't be saying the same thing out here in Florida. It's wetter than a baboon's behind.
Oh, man. Talk about crazy. So I was looking at the map compared to where you are. Now, good news is that the hurricanes seem to, I don't know what they call it, get smaller once it touched land. So that's good. But
yes, yeah, it does. It diminishes as it gets closer to Tampa, and then if it's aiming at Tampa for some reason, it veers off to the left or to the right for some reason.
yeah, it still wiped out my stepsister. She lived down there, I think just outside of Tampa, and it tore up her old neighborhood. She moved up here to Utah, I don't know, about 3 months ago, and it wiped out her old neighborhood because all her kids came up here to go to school. So she moved up here, and it's, man, they were showing me pictures of her old neighborhood. Like, houses are gone, like the only thing that tells you a house was there are some pipes poking up out of the ground. And it was not like a trailer park. This was a nice neighborhood, 200,000 or 2,000 square foot houses were probably the basic nice entryways, all the stuff. And it was, man.
Well, Tampa is a high end area here in Florida, that's for sure. I don't think losing a house in Tampa is a good day for anybody, especially since we use a citizens insurance group out here for people who can't afford insurance. So,
tell me more about this. What is that?
Well, it's a form of like socialized insurance or something like that. So we all pay into some sort of a system, and Florida, if you qualify for it, will insure you through citizens insurance, and we're all on the hook some way or somehow for what's going on around here.
That's kind of how insurance originally started. It was started by like farmers and what have you, and it was a way that they could band together and stockpile resources for if there was a bad harvest and what have you.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense to be insured. I think it's the way of the future to be insured, and that's how we keep each other in check.
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, what's the insurance like down there? Like, how do they treat, flood insurance and all that? We hear stories that they get kind of shady about that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, once I moved to Florida, my insurance on the cars doubled.
Oh, really?
I went from like $150 to paying over $350 a month for our two cars.
Well, I don't want to say too much because our insurance went up by, if I were to do a percentage, by like probably about, I'd say probably about 30%, 30% this year.
Yeah, as soon as I left, I heard everybody was rooting for higher tax rates everywhere.
Yeah.
But the system couldn't wait to get rid of me.
Man. Well, it kind of got shut down. There was a big old stink, especially someone leaked the pay of all of the municipal employees. The municipal and county and school district. And that really fired people up when they saw there's multiple people in the municipalities making like $300,000 a year. And they're like, and you're raising our taxes. The thing that got me fired up was when I looked at it and just how many how many administrative jobs like in the school district and stuff there are. It's ridiculous. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I remember I brought forward a pay chart once at a county meeting, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, but those numbers might be a little bit inflated, and they're taking into account maybe insurance and whatnot." So, at today's rate, maybe those numbers were adjusted with insurance and whatnot, and that is the average, I suppose. Uh, I mean, we all got pay raises, I hope, to go along with the inflation to some degree. But
Man, yeah.
300K, that is a lot.
When when we are, the average person is pretty much kind of struggling right now. And when you've got government administration jobs, these are just bureaucrat jobs that don't provide any value, and they're making, what is that? Probably 5 times the median income. That's too much. That's ridiculous. And Holly did make it.
Hi,
In
Holly.
case you guys can't see her.
Hi, Dave. Oh my gosh, are you?
Oh, it is now.
Are you guys surviving?
I'd say we're surviving pretty well. My whole family from the Tampa area, they're all here. Plus my brother-in-law's father showed up at 11 o'clock at night. He's like 93, and he stumbled into the house. Never met the guy before, but nice guy. So we
Who
had
is
an
it again?
Airbnb. So my brother-in-law's father lives out here.
Yeah.
His name's Larry. He's like 93 years old. He was given our coordinates to land his spaceship in our driveway, and we didn't hear anything from him. But like last minute, my brother-in-law calls me. He's like, "I'm watching him on the GPS as he strolls down the highway, and I think he's coming to your direction." So I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, I better get that spare room ready."
Where was he coming from?
The Tampa area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to get, you can lose property. You can't.
Do you know what I wonder? And the weather station was saying how this hurricane could be it could hit at a level 5, and they kept saying it over and over and over and over, and they had all these move out zones and stuff. And I know it's always better to be safe than sorry. But what I find with people that stayed said they shouldn't do that because people like me don't believe them the next time. And if you tell us it's going to be a 5 and it's a 3, when you tell us it's a 5 every time and it's a 3, you got people who are staying. You had the guy who stayed in his boat. Did you see that guy?
Yeah. Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan. Yeah. But you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
They're calling him homeless. I'd say he's got pretty decent accommodations.
Well, he lives in his boat. He made that absolutely clear. This is my house. I'm not going anywhere. But I wonder if that needs to be addressed, where they say, look, you guys, statistics are going to show this is going to hit at a 3. But right now, right off the coast, it's a 5.
Yeah. And there were meteorologists crying about how the pressure was dropping and very emotional in their
like
speeches.
happy crying or crying that it didn't.
No, they were worried about global warming catastrophe, earth-shattering hurricanes. And I'm not going to say it wasn't a bad hurricane, but I had friends that were ready to roll out and do some construction work down there, and they said, the damage wasn't bad enough for them to mobilize their crews and head out. So, everything seems like DeSantis has everything in order, and people are returning back to their houses. My parents are leaving tomorrow morning with Larry, and my Airbnb got out yesterday. I had an Airbnb here at the same time.
This is your new roommate.
Yep. And everybody's okay now. Thank God.
Well, you mentioned DeSantis. I think that he has displayed exceptional leadership. throughout this and Helene, and I'm more impressed. I think every state should have a DeSantis. But I said that before when we saw him do his speech at the convention. I was like, if we had 50 governors like DeSantis, we wouldn't need the federal government.
I would say right now we don't need the federal government.
Well, they tell us we do.
What have they done for us lately?
No comment.
Yeah. Jordan Law says, hey, Jared, my brother and his wife lives outside Tampa, Florida, and survived the hurricane Wimauma. Okay, someone else, please read that. Wimauma, Florida. Pray for Florida. My cousin also.
I think he means Wilma. Remember Hurricane Wilma?
Oh. My cousin also survived the hurricane. Well, is that how they spell Wilma?
No.
Oh, it's okay.
But I remember Hurricane Wilma.
The eye of the hurricane literally went over my brother's house, and he didn't have an evacuation order. Wow. Insane week. I couldn't sleep during the hurricane. I imagine, when you got family members in the path, it scares the heck out of you. It makes you nervous.
And I hear that the eye is where it's calm. It's what happens after it passes over you that you have to worry. And then a lot of tornadoes started striking up around there. And
don't the hurricanes turn into tornadoes once they're on land?
There was
there was a lot of hurricanes.
Yeah.
Hurricane. There was the one big hurricane was already happening in the Gulf, and tornadoes were just coming up all over the place.
Maybe they're
a lot of tornadoes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, just to a point that we all know that hurricanes never happened before.
No, never.
Global warming. I didn't sit through
SUVs.
3 of them in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba in '94. So it's the cow farts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rain in hurricanes. That's the thing I take away the most is it would flood plateaus. It was wild.
Well, the difference between a stage 1 and stage 2 are huge. I don't know. I also, Jordan, watched all night. I was watching the coverage on Hulu, and I was just like, they're reenacting Hurricane a 1 versus a 2 versus a 3 versus 4 versus 5, which was weird that Kamala Harris got on and said, don't say that it's just a 4 or just a 3. How about you not tell the weather service how to say what's happening? Because they were downgrading it from a 5, and they were saying, we're downgrading it from a 5 to a 3. We believe it's going to hit at a 3. So if it's just a 3, then plans may change. But she was mad about that. The truth is, these things happen. They've been happening since the dawn of time, as long as Earth has been on this planet. It's been happening. And people are in the way of them now.
Mm. Yeah, and we invented malaria pills, so people live down there now.
Hello, Christy. Thank you for tuning in.
So, you messaged me, when was it? Wednesday night? Is that the night you messaged me, Dave, and sent me the picture of you barbecuing the night before the hurricane hit?
Yes. I had a little bit of a barbecue going on the day of the hurricane, actually. And Patricia fell asleep in the breezeway outside for a while during the hurricane. So, like I said, Jacksonville is I'm not going to say it's immune to it, but
if it comes from the east, it'd probably hit you a little hard. But
yeah, it would definitely mess our stew up for sure. But how often do they come from the east? It's not that often. It seems like they're mostly coming from the Gulf of Mexico and finding their way.
The east, they tend to hit more north,
Caribbean
don't they?
Stuff. Right? Haven't we seen a whole bunch trip through the Caribbean and go east?
Yeah, but they usually hit further north than Florida. I mean, that one that went in and became that's Tennessee's dealing with in North Carolina.
That is rare. And see, my brother moved to Virginia recently, and that's his first hurricane and many of Virginians' first hurricane experience.
Yeah, that's
at that level. And I mean, they're close to the beach, but it's rare that it's that high up. It's usually in warmer waters, from what I understand.
Jordan says Clearwater Beach, Florida also got a lot of debris Also, it's a beautiful area. Yeah, Florida is. So I got to do it. What do you guys think about this new conspiracy theory drifting around that the government uses lasers to make or steer these weather events?
Yeah, I hate to tell these people that they might be kind of crazy, but I think we would have heard about how this would work and that it is working, and we probably would have already used it by now. On
Have you ever heard of Operation Popeye?
Is that 1964?
No, it's like 1967, I believe. Have you ever heard of it, Dave?
I can't. Is that the one in Alaska?
Nope.
No, then I can't say I have.
This is where the U.S. Army did weather modification in Vietnam to wipe out the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and they did it successfully.
And they did it with chemtrails and
Yeah.
chemicals, cloud seeding, which has been around. They've been doing it since the early 60s, designed it in the 40s, and they tested it in Vietnam.
Didn't test it. They used it. It was a weapon in Vietnam.
Well, I mean,
And it
that's
messed
what
up their ecosystem hard. And they're open about it. You can go read the...
Yeah, it's all, in fact, there's people on ABC talking about it right now about how cloud seeding and the government manipulating the weather. And the president just said, that's just stupid. Well, you got an ABC report from 5 years ago saying, is this dangerous? Or do we think this could be dangerous? Well, no, we don't know. What about the chemicals they're using? We believe that they are benign once they hit the soil. Oh, you believe that? Well, if you look over the last 30 years, what the health of our country has gone through with the instance in autism and the rates that have skyrocketed, early onset Alzheimer's, tons of female reproductive diseases,
cancers,
so many cancers. Now they believe it'll be 1 in 2 in the progress of the year will have cancer, not death, but cancer. This feels so, I don't know, coincidental.
Got it.
That when you're piping chemicals through the sky to build unnatural clouds and such, and weather and rain and snow, I don't know that it wouldn't have an effect on our water supply or our soil.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Okay, so reportedly, the chemicals they have used, also Wyoming put a law in that other states can't do it over Wyoming like 8 years ago. We should move to Wyoming. I'm telling you. Still don't know the name of the governor. Wyoming. But as a safety guy who's got familiarity with chemicals, is there any hazardous effects to particles of aluminum or barium in breathing, eating, or anything like that?
Well, I know aluminum has a lot of studies about it. I mean, it's in a lot of our cosmetics and our foods, things like that.
Your antiperspirants, aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
So
I use anti-sweat pills that make me stop sweating, but I don't use them continuously. I kind of like do a mix just to avoid using so many different perspirants that have aluminum in it.
Does that cause you to overheat?
Yeah. Why would you not want to sweat? Is it because you live in the swamp?
No, I sweat a lot though. I mean, I sweat a lot. So
you moved to the worst humidity state on the planet next to Texas. You're like 3 minutes from the sun.
And it helps my feet because I got bad feet from the war in Kosovo. I was in Macedonia. I forgot to use shower shoes, and it was an army base, not an Air Force base, and I picked up a foot fungus, and before you know it, you got holes in your sock, and
And my dad called that jungle rot.
Yeah,
he picked it up in Vietnam.
Yeah,
that's hell.
So,
or you could call it eczema because it looks almost the same.
Depends on what stage it's in.
Oh, but it is just so bad.
So I don't know. Could there be negative effects to that if it was misted in the air? I'm not saying it is.
Or the combination of the two together.
Well, yeah, if you have any exposure to anything too much, you're gonna be sick, heavy, especially heavy metals. I don't know about, what was it, barium that you were asking?
Yeah,
I would have
I've
to look
heard
that one
tell.
up.
Yeah.
Every metal and chemical that has a hazard point that OSHA monitors is recorded to have like an action level or a permissible exposure level that we can be exposed to in the workplace. So
Mm.
you can be exposed to X amount of aluminum dust in the workplace before it's legally, or should I say illegal, to expose your employees to that.
And that's
So
American federal levels. I know, like some artificial dyes and stuff that we use in our foods here are not legal in China or Europe, but
correct, yeah.
our FDA sees them as fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
Well, I just want to refer everyone to the food pyramid. They've done right by me my whole life.
Yeah, you got a good point. Kind of like the jab did too. Yeah.
The food pyramid said, yeah, eat all the grains, healthy fats. That's just eat less of that than sugar. You'll be all right. I remember when,
But then they put sugar in everything, including the grains.
yeah, we're about to get Dave fired up on the corn syrup. But
I hate that. I hate
but
that.
remember when they first started doing away with the food pyramid as we grew up with, grains were the base, and then it was vegetables and fruits, and then it was lean meats, and then it was sugars and fats. First of all, they put those together.
Or was dairy?
Oh yeah, dairy was
Forgot dairy.
in between there. And then when they first started moving it, I saw one come out where all they did was move meats further away from the base but kept all the other crap right there for us. I was like, man. And then they did away with it. And then they tried the food pie graph. So they essentially just changed the shape of the graph, or
Like a Venn diagram?
yeah, I don't know. Just
Well, here's the truth. I mean, our FDA is a problem, and I believe they need to be audited for who's in their pocket. And I think that we would not be shocked to see the big pharma is in their pocket, because
what?
the big pharma is making a ton of money off of Americans getting sick off the very foods we eat. And I'm afraid that even if you grew your own food, if this stuff is in the air or falling onto our soil and into our food and water supply, I mean, how would you ever avoid it?
I don't think you can. Not anymore.
Are we supposed to sit really close together?
No, we're fine. I'll get this.
Oh, look how big my head is.
I know.
I know. Look at that. That's a beast.
Gargantuan.
I'm just moving Holly around.
Gargantuan crane in a boat.
So
Oh,
Anyone
know
knows
what's-
that movie, you're a superstar in my world.
have you guys noticed the Cajun Navy has been pulling most of the weight for rescue efforts lately versus the FEMA employees, or at least that's the way it sounds like to me. I don't know, maybe it's misinformation, but
No, actually, I've heard that same thing. People on the ground are saying Cajun Navy and the White Trash Air Force or something, Redneck
Air Force.
They've been going in, and a lot of them have just told FEMA, back up, let us handle this, we'll build this. And that's if they see FEMA.
Well, that's what happens when. Imagine if you will, Dave, if wars were fought not by the Army and the Air Force and the Navy and the Marines, but they were fought by the DOD bureaucrats, how would it go?
oh geez.
They would have to file paperwork in triplicate, and and then they might set up a HESCO barrier, maybe. And so that's the problem with FEMA. FEMA is a bureaucracy. FEMA's not an operational entity, and I think that we need to recognize it as that. And our government needs to, and our government needs to say, FEMA doesn't even need to go on the ground. FEMA can stay in Washington, D.C., receive an email, put some pictures on it so they know what to allocate, and then send money to people who get stuff done.
I still think that the money would get mishandled. I think it's
You
been
think? I know
mishandled
it
terribly.
would. It is. Everything
It
in the
always
government's
is.
mishandled.
From FEMA to the state to the local cities. I mean, if you don't put it into actual hands of the doers, the do people,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that you're counting on strangers, but we've seen so much help. And why is it always right before a big election? I mean, I remember Superstorm Sandy happening, which probably cost Romney the election.
That's the one that hit New York, isn't it?
Yeah. And New Jersey. And then remember the big huggies and the hand holding with Chris Christie and Obama? I mean, I think that gave the win. I think it snatched it right from Romney's hands. After Obama had done so terrible in the debates.
The outlook on this one for the federal government is not well.
Well, they're not looking well. And who's looking well? The governor of Florida and the citizenry that is hit by all of these tragedies. I mean,
what about the reports of that North Carolina National Guard helicopter?
That was crazy.
Low flying over a aid station and pretty much ruining it, blowing everything away.
Some helicopters behind in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we did.
Just curious.
Chinese fixed them up.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, like, how would we know if a Black Hawk came over that it was one of ours?
Well, they say they know, like the pilot has been grounded.
What do you do it for?
I don't know.
It's called dusting, right? He dusted the area.
I don't know.
Which destroyed. So for those of you who don't know, one of our Black Hawks went so low at the gathering site where they're like ground zero, where they've got all the merchandise and all the waters and everything they're going to hand out to these people or trek up the mountain to these people. And he dusted the site, which the blades of that thing go so fast that it literally like destroyed tents and it destroyed product. And it was crazy. It didn't land. But a few people got it on video because it was so insane.
Yeah,
because that's our military.
That's the National Guard too. I don't know what's going on with that. That's the reports running around.
All of this is hearsay. We're reading what we find out, of course. But I do know that Elon Musk donated Starlink to those people who didn't have it. I thought that was remarkable. Then it turns out that they're saying, but he's charging. And I'm like, no, he's not. What
do you think about Elon Musk at the latest Butler rally?
So I do know this. Elon Musk had organized some helicopters to fly in and try to pick people up or rescue people. But because they didn't know the people they were rescuing or picking up or landing next to, the Federal Aviation Association, the FAA or whatever it is, or FCC, they didn't grant him the permits to land. So he almost had his own little helicopter rescue operation going. And I'm watching him on TikTok give an interview about how unfortunate it is he didn't know the people that he needed to rescue.
Which who would?
I don't get it.
I don't know. Look for the people on their rooftops going over here, because that's how every rescue goes. You don't know the people you're rescuing.
When you're building an upright blade holding machine, do you want to stain the wood or paint it?
634. Nailed it. We haven't talked about crypto yet, but still young. Okay.
I think a nice stain. I think a walnut stain would be nice.
Did you notice the hat that he was wearing at the rally?
I did not.
The black.
The black on black. Yeah.
He called it. What did he call it? Dark MAGA.
Yeah.
Who was wearing a hat before him? Last week.
You're a trendsetter. Well, I like how he came out
last week before Pennsylvania.
He came out of
black on black.
He came out in that rally fired up, like he was doing jumping jacks and hopping around.
They gave him a bad photo though. They're making this one photo op of him doing that jumping jack where right behind Trump, and they're highlighting that, and it's a bad optic. They're trying to make him look stupid is what they're doing.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I think the left are going to regret alienating him in the next,
Um,
I would say in the next couple years.
Can I just add this week what he just hosted? I think last night, the introduction to the Wii robot. Did you guys see this thing?
Is that train-looking car that came out?
No.
No.
Get on and look. So my friend works for Tesla. So he was at the big unveiling. The Wii robot, they started it with a guy in a suit and figured out how the movements would be. Then they slowly have built it over the years. And he said, every household is going to own one of these. Please be nice to the robots. They will be working with us tonight. And the robots were bartending last night at his event. I think it was last night or the night before. And he calls it Optimus. It is so crazy. I couldn't take my eyes off. But first of all, if it can bartend, yikes, there's my job gone. It can teach. Yeah. It can do sign language. It does everything. And he said this will be the game changer for the world. And what's so amazing about it is they didn't even say that about the iPhone when it came out, at least that I didn't hear. But I don't think they realized what this would do to the world, what the iPhone would do.
Sorry, got to make it through the advertisements. We'll turn that back on in a minute. I want to see this Wii robot number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like iRobot from the movie. Only
it's
not
coming
like
the day of the droids.
Dude.
And I'm looking forward to it. I think I always go on these 2A
there it
TikTok
is.
chats. And
they look like people. Sorry, David, he just got it on the screen.
No, you're good. You gotta keep talking, David.
Look at this. And no, this is not a person in a bodysuit. They're dancing. They do everything.
Yeah, keep talking, Dave. Keep telling us about how you want the robot to show up.
Well, I want the robots in our schools protecting the kids. I think 2A robots, awesome. 2A robots patrolling the halls when you need them. You know, the siren goes on and it says, you know, evacuate, and then shoots the bad guy as they're rampaging. You know, it just makes a lot of sense to use robots for a lot of things in our world today.
Well, this thing actually started as a human, they're telling you here. But on this launch, he also launched the dogs. He launched the Tesla taxi, which is it's an automated taxi, and it says taxi on it. This is like iRobot meets Total Recall, not Total Recall. Yeah, maybe Total Recall, but
what happened?
So many movies.
I want to know what the strength of this robot is. Like, what is its carrying capacity? Like, just all the.
I can't believe you guys didn't see this. It was so crazy. When I saw it, I was just like rewinding it and looking for the man in the suit and you can see it's a machine.
So
connected.
What do you think it looks like, Dave? What do you think it looks like the first time we see two militaries go to war against each other? The first time we see militaries go to war as we do now, where there's one military that has the robots and the other one is going to have people, it's going to change the face of the military. It's going to change everything. It's going to be an atrocity. It'll be like when Chariots first showed up.
Yeah, but when you add robots to war as a weapon, how do they differentiate the good guy and the bad guy? Right. And when they don't, that's how you get a movie like iRobot. Where
they'll figure that out. But what do you think it looks like when we have two robot militaries go against each other? It'll be...
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild.
There's got to be people on the ground. These robots also sound extremely human, not robotic. I noticed. What can I get for you? When he was at the bar, it was stunning to me. I knew I was witnessing something that was going to be revolutionary. And he said, every American will own one. These will be affordable by everyone. Well, I don't know when that will be. Maybe after Trump's in office or something. But I don't know. I think it would be cool to have one. Then again, I don't want anything to do with the government attached to it.
Now remember, our ancestors used to say, "I won't get into an elevator unless there's a pilot," and now we're pressing the buttons on elevators when we're drunk, and we press them all and don't care. But back in the day, they were like, "Hey, I'm getting into an elevator only if there is a pilot for that elevator."
It's true.
It was the same with worried about being bugged on their phones.
Oh no, they called that
And
one.
now they carry the phone around with them. They carry the bug around with them every day. Martin says, meets Terminator.
Oh,
I mean, it's such a scary thing.
I've seen that documentary.
Well, and don't you think just by these robots, the way they looked, you've seen iRobot, right?
Mm-hmm.
These look like right out of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And those dogs look right out of Black Mirror. If you haven't seen that episode, or the
I
little
think
robot
Black
dogs.
Mirror was made after the advent of those dogs.
I don't know. But all I can say is Elon Musk saw all those movies too. And he's the one doing the design.
Is he the one designing the robots?
Well, it's Tesla.
So those are Tesla robots.
Do you know that Elon Musk doesn't really own a lot of stuff? And he doesn't own big mansions. I think he just sold his house in LA to leave. And he lives in like a small little place in Texas.
He lives in a trailer.
Yeah, it's a tiny home. I mean, he's the richest man in the world. And yet I think he believes in reproducing and having children and enjoying his time with his children. And I love that for him, whatever he wants to do with his money. But I think a lot of his determination is into this technology and to getting us to Mars. I mean, it's him that got these guys off the space shuttle, right?
He's kind of an addict to making stuff, which is good. I mean, like I said, I think in a couple years, the left, the hardcore progressives, are going to regret that they alienated him. And I don't think they're going to regret because he's going to do something to harm them or whatever. I think they're going to regret that, whether he's brilliant or not, Elon Musk, in my mind, I think his pure value to humanity is his drive. He's one of those weird guys that doesn't stop. And I think the left is going to regret losing him because he was solidly with them until he went on to Babylon B. It was probably him going on the Babylon B that changed that.
Yeah, I think that just the dare by Twitter, and he did. But when you can ban a president of the United States on a social, and then you can start banning content, I think that just really disturbed him. And then they were terrible to him when he got there.
Well, it's when they banned the Babylon B is when he said, maybe I should buy Twitter. That's
and they'd
when
already
he mentioned
banned
that.
Alex Jones at that point.
Oh, yeah.
They banned the B, then they banned Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think he was a fan of Donald Trump.
Well, the B didn't get... The B got
hilarious.
banned like 2 weeks before he well, no, it was a little bit longer, maybe a month or two before he bought it. But I think that the left, they're just going to regret it because, I mean, he is, yes, he's a brilliant mind, especially compared to me, but it's his innovation. And if you get that innovation on your side, you're going to do great things. I mean, America's lucky that we stole him from South Africa.
Well, yeah, and he's the richest African American in the country, in the world.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say this, and I was thinking this: he's not just smart. There's tons of smart people in the world. He doesn't understand the word quit, and he doesn't understand the word failure. It's just another way to learn, right? That's his mindset, and his mindset is everything. It was exactly the same way with the Apple guy. It's exactly the same way with Donald Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump's filed bankruptcy X amount of times, but he doesn't have that mentality to stay down. He just doesn't. He'll move on and keep going because failure is not in his vernacular. And Martin Martin Kinsey writes, Elon is like Trump. He wants to help people and fight against injustice. I believe you. I agree with you. I think that's why the left sees him as such a threat. I mean, when they need Elon to assist them at NASA because their own company contractor can't get their astronauts off the space station.
Yeah, that was wild.
Really wild, right? And who's
Wasn't
their
it
contract
both,
with? Boeing.
Yeah.
7 years had that contract. Elon had the contract with, I think, for a year. And he's like, I'll go get him. And
Wasn't it kind of bragged? No. Wasn't it 2 female astronauts as well?
No, I don't know.
So there was.
But I love, that's the mentality that I think you can find. And what Elon has said, why he loves this country, is that if you have that mentality and that hard work and you have enough gumption, you can do anything here. And he also acknowledged that most billionaires want to pull the ladder up behind them. And that is the problem. That's when you know America's infected. When those billionaires, those millionaires start pulling the ladder up behind them using the federal government.
Yeah.
You have lost your republic. Because, imagine if I actually think that Facebook guy, Zuckerberg, I think he's gotten a taste of watching Elon's success. Elon is not a publicly traded company. Twitter's not. X is not. So people can't buy, stock in there. BlackRock has gone in and bought stock in most publicly traded companies that have any gumption, especially software companies. And then they've put these ESG rules and these make sure that they're using DEI and all this other stuff. They're voting out. They're going in and voting out chairman of the board who are not awoke enough.
Well,
and
Zuckerberg came.
His confession that, hey, the FBI was telling us
Yeah,
and
they use
censoring
soft
us.
force.
And yeah, he's used soft force. I think he's catching on that this might not always be a left-run country, and I'm not going to be able to be the third richest man in the world for much longer if I let the federal government into my coffers, because I've got to stand up for free speech.
Well, he came out, what was it, 2 weeks ago and said, he started working out. And I think him working out turned up his testosterone.
Speaking of working out, I just saw a video of Dave working out.
Oh, boy.
It was this morning.
Yeah.
Working the abs. I didn't see a blink of sweat on you.
Well, believe me.
Taking your pills.
Look at you, though. You and the hot wife out working out right after a hurricane.
I'll be honest. The winds in Tooele were worse than what I got here in Jacksonville.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. When they were telling us the winds of a category 1, I think it's like 45, 50 miles an hour. I was like, that's I-80. I mean, we get winds up to 90 miles an hour when they have to park all the semis.
Yep.
Oh, some of those semis
roll over,
get parked. I see him. I used to see him every year on the way to work in the winter.
Our local veterinarian, I have to give him credit, Joe Roundy. I used to say, gosh, it's so windy out here. And he's like, Tooele isn't windy. Salt Lake just sucks.
Go to Wyoming. Kids learn to walk sideways. Anyways, Molly May says, I think Elon is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And you may be, and
you could be.
I feel that way.
Antichrist.
I feel that way about every politician, everybody who comes onto the stage for political movement, that I have an inherent distrust in anyone who wants to use democracy or the government as a means of force. And that's just how I feel. So yes, Elon Musk could be, and he could be the father of Skynet. And next thing you know,
he also could maybe not have this on sale for the military contracts. He could be the guy that stops that type of, he's the one trying to rein in AI right now.
Here's another scary thought. What if the richest man on earth builds the first robot army?
I know.
I think China has them beat. I mean, Elon is our battlefront against the Chinese techno regime.
That's
If
fair.
you've seen the new Chinese cars, you'll know what I mean.
Yes, it's terrifying.
I just wonder about those new Chinese cars. Are they mass produced?
Here's the thing. We don't know what China is doing.
Well, I want to know if they're mass produced because right now, the number one vehicle in China is a Buick.
Yeah, but what he's saying is like the technology in
Like-
China is here. It's being used.
But China,
But I bet there's stuff we don't even know about in China.
they
And-
might be, but I don't know. I have questions.
And China has 1 billion people that will starve if they don't make money. And they've got to employ them doing something. With that in mind, 1 billion people building cars. I mean, they actually employ Chinese to build cities that they never use. Because they've got to keep the populace working. O'Malley May says, good to see you, Dave. She also says he believes universal income is inevitable and he's making brain chips. I understand we've had this discussion on the show about universal income being inevitable because with AI, we don't know what jobs. Like I just told you, just watching this big event job that he did, his big event announcing these robots, I would be out of a job if those robots did everything that I saw them do in that production. They can run the production. They can do the waitress staff. They can do the bartending. They can meet and
dance
greet.
on the
They
bar.
were dancing. They can do the announcing. They can DJ. I mean, there is nothing they can't do. Now, Elon's plan when he was doing the brain chip, I know, was to, and I don't know if he's religious, and I don't want to pretend, but a lot of it was to try to help people who had injuries and give them a quality of life.
Paralyzed people. And
Yes.
what have
And science is scary. And no, I wouldn't put a brain in my head.
you mean a chip in your head?
That's right. That's
There you
right.
go.
I wouldn't put a chip in my brain.
Rescued you from
I
looking
wouldn't
dumb.
put someone snatch that audio and save that for me. But that's the thing. But that's what we're saying now. Our parents or our great grandparents wouldn't get in an elevator without a pilot. Maybe it is the future. Maybe there is some enlightenment you can get through a brain. Bible told me that there is the devil, the mark of the devil. I don't know what that looks like, but it does feel like it could be a chip, whether it's in my head, in my wrist. I don't know. But I'm also someone who would never get ancestry.com because I don't know where that DNA is going to go and who's got the list and how are they going to use the list. I also wouldn't go to Mars if you paid me. I've seen Total Recall.
Shannon McKinnis says, hey friends, long time no see. Good to see your faces. Good to see you. O'Malley May says, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That is very true. And I think as long as we're all awake to it and we're calling it out and we're saying what's okay, what isn't. The thing is, when the federal government makes the standard for AI, the federal government writes that standard. That should terrify all of us. It should be an engagement of the world because AI is going to be worldwide. I don't necessarily think it needs to be done at the UN, but I do think it needs to be done with all the heads of state and voted on by the people. Because I think AI, there's no way to stop it. From what I understand now, it's already learned more than they can even do anything about. If AI is dangerous, we have to figure that out. Can AI operate our missiles from a distance? Can AI start a war that no government has power over? And then would the other government believe like, oops, we just had a missile dropped. It was the AI software. It's not us. We're not trying to start World War III, but you've got a missile your way. Like, what does that look like?
Oh, Holly,
Terminator.
we can't even figure out how to get our $750 checks to hurricane victims. I don't think AI is going to be
What do you mean?
next priority for our society.
You just need to get on your computer that's obviously working or your phone and just apply. And if they deny you that $750 relief fund the first time, you just keep trying because tell me why FEMA has got all that money put in for illegal immigration in the same coffers as our emergency fund. How does FEMA run out of money when this is like the first big emergency of the year?
I mean, everyone should know when hurricane season is, and there should already be tent cities set up strategically around different locations ready to deploy. And it really shouldn't be as difficult as they make it out to be if we did have good federal assistance.
Hurricane season is June to October.
It feels like we're broken. I think emergency relief should be handled at the largest on the state level.
Yeah.
Any emergency relief, it should be handled on
I'd
the
say
state
county.
level. County would be ideal, but on the,
Yeah,
at
if
the
it hits
largest,
multiple
the state.
cities. Yeah.
I think leaving it up to federal level, it's a pot that's just, it's too juicy to not fall into politicization, to not fall into
Overspending.
corruption, and that's on both sides.
Absolutely.
We need to, and we've got Deborah, our next guest is here. We'll be bringing her on here in about 4 minutes, and she might be shocked to find out the show she went on.
Yeah, if you want to leave now, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
The federalization has been a corruption that we cannot survive. This nation is going to fall to its budget. There's not a federal department, there's not a government initiative that's been a success unless that initiative has been to destroy the well-being of the nation.
That's fair. And I have to read O'Malley's comment because anybody that knows her knows she is so tough. But she just made me laugh out loud. So I'm sorry if I laughed while you were talking. She said, I will set aside my paranoia and principles for a robot that will do my dishes every day. Now you get what I'm saying is I could see owning one of these, someone who vacuums my house, dusts everything, does the dishes. I could see that. That's how it starts, right? But is it recording you like Alexa? And is it learning from you?
If you
and then
found
if you
out
were to do something bad, is it subpoena? Can a subpoena call it to court?
That's why you got to marry your robot.
And there we go.
Because you marry your robot and it gets brought in on the
just
Fifth
teach it about the
Amendment
Fifth
in your
Amendment.
behalf.
I think there'd have to be something like that. You'd have to have a code for your robot that can't be. I mean,
how long before they make robots before there are the population will collapse?
Well, that's it. Jobs are gone.
Well, good,
and so
because
Elon is saying at least we need to give people an income, which has got her worried. But at the same time, is it the worst thing to think about giving people livable wage if there are no jobs because we've settled for convenience? But are we freer? The thing with robots is, are we freer? Does the government have access to these robots? Is there any way the government, I mean, if Elon is got good intentions, he will have protected every citizen and every owner of any product that he puts out against potential fraud or I don't know. I believe in freedom first. That's got to come first, and privacy second, especially if you own something.
Have like bodyguard robots and
seriously, you could have them in the schools. Every school could have 2.
Dudes
all they do is patrol and high five the kids.
Robots. Yeah. O'Malley May says she's good with just the dishes. So Dave, you were telling me you were reaching out to your local congressman last time we chatted. How did that go?
I've got a little petition drawn up. I'll be going over to the VFW, and I'll be reaching out to some Republican groups, and I've talked to our county chair. So I'm putting it in place, but the whole gist of what I want is In Florida, it costs $10,400 to put your papers in to run for Senate or Congress, and
Wow.
that's a lot.
That
That's
is
a
a
lot of
lot.
money to file a piece of paper. So I'm thinking maybe veterans should have a discount rate on filing your paper if you want to serve your country in a civilian capacity like that. So I'm
Can you
asking to waive.
fundraise? Can you fundraise for that?
You can even do the signature route if you want to spend more money, but
How can they call that a government by of and for the people if there's that barrier to entry to run for office?
It's a barrier, but it's not a really high barrier. It's a barrier that says I'm really serious about the job, but it's also $10,000 to run for an office of that caliber. I mean, all of our people spend money to run, but they can also fundraise for it. They can start their campaign. They can go out and find people who believe in them, who will donate to them. A, that shows them they're serious about the race, and B, that
No,
they've
that
got
makes
support.
me think the government's like, can we milk more money out of these people?
Elections
Well,
are
if I was-
expensive.
I've got an
if
idea.
I'm Mitt Romney, I can just pull some money out of my pocket and say, there, accomplishment achieved.
Don't say
Do you
that.
want to put the headphones on so you can hear?
Don't
what
say
he's
that
saying?
too loud. He might pop up in
Yes,
Florida
don't
and
you-
become your next senator.
Yeah. I'm telling you, knock on wood.
Be like, yeah, I'm here.
So
Yeah.
you're looking to run for a seat there?
No, not me. I just want to clear the path for non-lawyers and non-real estate developers to represent me.
Do you have
Veterans.
that down there too? Real estate developers are dominating your state politics.
Yeah, that's everywhere, I think.
Just turn the volume down. That's okay.
Oh my gosh, that comment just came up again. Don't say
Yeah.
it too loud. He might pop up and run in your area.
All right, Dave. We're gonna cut you loose. We got to have you back on again soon. Say goodbye to everyone.
Hi, Dave. It's Mike from Nigeria.
Hey, Mike, that's my programmer.
Oh yeah, outstanding.
Thanks for tuning in, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I want to get you on again because I want to talk about Trump's involvement. And I mean, I was really excited when he went to the crypto event, which I know we didn't talk about crypto today, but I'd love to get your take on it. He was totally backing the idea. I know that Elon has backed several cryptocurrencies.
Just the ones his kids mining.
Whichever. Just put money in Doge.
It's a crypto.
Mhm.
I think that it would be, I would love to learn more about it because I think it could be two-sided. The people in, North Carolina or in Appalachia can't use their crypto for nothing as long as they don't have power. And if we had some big, huge event, your crypto might as well be air. So I'm curious of that, and I know that's a huge thing. So let's have you on for another show soon so we can talk about that.
Well, I hope Jared will pull out his, I think I gave you a Litecoin certificate once or twice in my life.
I don't think you gave me one.
All right.
No.
Well, I will bring that up for another day, but
We did a show together for 3 years, and he ignored
Wow.
me on the Litecoin.
And then we get that one guy in and he
One
gives us
time, and he-
gold dollar bills.
Gave me a gold bag.
hey, let me encourage your audience to go to the Political Head Trauma TikTok channel, where Mike makes our new latest and greatest TikTok videos for Political Head Trauma. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and even advertise on the podcast.
Mike,
We're gonna get there one day.
don't put that comment I just made in there.
Which one?
To put a brain. I would not put a brain in my head.
That one. Hey, Mike.
It's going
Mike, that one is outstanding. And put up two. One with the correction, one
I will
without.
not put a chip in my
Let the
brain.
one stand by itself for a while.
Oh my gosh. And
Let
go
it
to our
breathe.
YouTube channel and Facebook. We're all on Facebook also. And thank you to those tuning in live right now. We're very excited about our guests, but we have to say
Yep.
goodbye to you, Dave. We adore you. We miss you and the wife. And thank you for keeping us informed of what's going on in Florida.
All right. Hail to the Republic and have a good night.
Yep. Be safe, bro.
Bye.
Bye-bye.